Good afternoon and welcome to the chemistry department's presentation. Thank you for taking the time to visit this particular session. I would like to take you on a tour of our department, first introduce our department and then show you the different people in the department that makes up our department to be one of the better chemistry departments in the country or even on the continent. First, let me share my PowerPoint. Okay, so we are sort of on the Rose Memorial side of campus as you go up the Madiba Circle. And not the best of looking buildings, but the nicest of looking people inside. So just a little bit of history of the department. Its inception was in about 1876. That makes us almost 150 years old. And the chemistry department started out in what is today Sachs High School and Primary School. And it's only around 1875 that we formally it was formerly a chemistry department, and there were a few people before P.D. Hahn, or Paul Daniel Hahn was one of the early chemistry professors of note, and that was in 1881. And he was also involved in training of medical students, since chemistry is a central science and you can't become a medical doctor without knowing your chemistry, like many other disciplines. So he played an integral role in establishing the medical school, which then later became the University of Cape Town. So it was also upon his instigation that the college Senate admitted ladies for the first time in 1886. And we've come a long way since then. Now today, our classes are probably majority females. And in recent years, we had our first female head of department. So in 1895, around that period, towards the end of the century, mining was particularly gold and diamond mining was very, very popular. So obviously chemistry plays a fundamental role there. And so did the chemistry department at the time. Right up until 1938 was well established by then. So the 19th century, as you know, was an era of rapid accelerating scientific discovery and invention. And by the turn of the century, you'll find that a lot of the chemistry and physics, basic principles, and fundamental ideas and theories have been established. And it was only in recent years, by the time I was born, that we actually, have accelerated tremendously in the life sciences, particularly, as well as in the information and technical sciences. So if one looks back at early 20th century, around 2018, the college Sachs became the University of Cape Town, which it is now. But we also saw then the First World War, and today we also so very close to a possibility that is God forbid that we get there. But we also share something in common then of the time, which was the flu pandemic in 1918. And earlier today, if you attended the Dean's talk, you would have talked about also how chemists also plays a good and very important role in studying the pandemic, and we obviously came a long way from 2018 in terms of how to deal with disease. And in our department, you'll find that we have a number of sub-disciplines, of which drug discovery and development is one of our cornerstones of the research in our department. So our department in numbers So we got about 50 staff members, of which 20 to 30 split between academic and sort of support staff, which is scientific officers and administration and so on. Our undergrad students, you'll see there, first year students almost close to 1,000 students. So you can imagine how busy we are. And of course, those students are broken down into the Chem 1000, which is the majors, which is about 451 for this year, fluctuates around that particular number. We are a service course, chemistry services, chemical engineering. So many of the chemical engineers must, it's a prerequisite for them to do a full course in chemistry. Also, then of course you get the science majors and also those who are going to do life sciences as well. But the medical sciences, those students, we have about 237, which is the 1011F course. And then we have all the other engineers other than chemical engineers. That's about 289 students, which is around fluctuates between that number and about 300 plus minus 300. So what happens then going into second year after you've passed your first year chemistry, we only have about 61, but that number dropped tremendously because of what happened in chemical engineering. They introduced different options, bioprocess engineering, with the option of doing something other than chemistry, like biology and so on. So we've lost quite a bit of students due to that. And we would like to increase that number. And that will then feed into our third year, which also dropped a bit. And we have about 22, and that number fluctuates also between 22 and 40. But ideally, we would like to have it back up 60 students at least. So we really need you to come to chemistry as a first choice, not as a fallback to engineering or medicine. So we need you, the brilliant minds, we need you here. Then going on after completing your 3-year degree, we also have a 4-year extended degree program. If you feel that things are getting a bit tough for you in the first year, then by the middle of the year you would have an option to do this, the degree over 4 years, which is actually not a bad idea if you do find yourself in that situation. The 4-year degree students, in my experience over the year, those students have become really good postgraduate students when they do carry on. Many of them are actually have gone through my laboratory, and today they have very good reputations in companies that around in South Africa and abroad. The honors group, we can take up to 19 students. Usually they need to have at least a 65% grade average. And then also you'll see the master's figure is a bit higher than that. That is because we take on master students from across the country and across the continent, and even sometimes international students outside of Africa. And of course, the same is true for the PhD students. Postdoctoral students, also very diverse group of students. We're serving Africa well in terms of training postdoctoral students as well. So that's basically the department in numbers. So, and I would like to sort of take you through a website, which is not our parent website, which is chemistry.uct.ac.za. So if for general information about science in general, you would go to the science website, which is for undergrad overview, courses, majors, and rules. And then the front end to our webpage, which is specially designed for matriculants and parents, teachers, to be able to look at our website in a sort of a marketing context. Whereas with the chemistry main pages, main website, there you pretty much need to know exactly what you're looking for. Then, of course, we would like to also develop a community of chemistry, not just while you're here, but also after you graduate and when you go and work, wherever else in the country, in Africa, in the world. We want to keep in touch with you with our LinkedIn page. So please do feel free to join up there either this year or next year and start building your CV on there. Then we've got a YouTube channel, which I would also just show a couple of clips, because I would like the postgrad students to give their view of the department. So let me just get to our uctchemistry.com. Okay, there we go. So if you, after this presentation, of course, then you can go and visit this particular site, uctchemistry.com, and you can then see a lot more than what I'm going to show you. I'm basically just going to take you through briefly. Okay, so you have, let me just make this in full screen. So a little bit about chemistry. And of course, when you click on these links, it will take you to our parent site where you can see more information. I have given you a brief overview of our undergrad programs. And of course, you can then go and learn more about that when you click on this link. Then we would like to sort of brag about the very talented people that we have in our department. So we have highly skilled and dedicated staff to support you in your graduate and postgraduate development and preparation for diverse career paths. It's very important to you because you pay a lot of money for this and you have to make a lot of sacrifices to be here. So rest assured that your children or students, sons and daughters, are in good hands and getting a very good education taught by leaders in the field. If one looks at, if you click on any of these areas, so we've got computational chemistry, which is basically using computers to design, inactive sites when you have a crystal structure of a particular protein or enzyme that is important in a particular disease. Then you would then get what they call the coordinates of that from a database, and that software will then allow you to view what the active site looks like, and then you can then sort of design using in silico methods molecules that you think will fit well there in that particular active site that may block a particular function, and therefore you are targeting that particular protein or enzyme to make a drug or inhibitor. And you can then screen thousands of drugs or molecules through this particular system and then minimize it to a few hits, which will then you either have to go and synthesize, or this hits might be sitting in some repository library where you can buy in some, or you will have a synthetic chemist who then will go and make these molecules, and then we will physically test them in the laboratory. Yes? Time. Okay. So I urge you to have a look at all these different sites. Then, of course, what is also very important, it's not just spending all your efforts and energy in improving health, which is one of the sustainable development goals. Another very important sustainable development goal is that of the environment. So we put a lot of effort also, and we have a number of people that has projects that they dedicate to solving some of the environmental problems, and chemists, are the culprits over many years that have introduced and polluted. So we are the ones that sit with all the knowledge and skills to reverse that. And also the idea of climate change and carbon economy, hydrogen economy, carbon footprints. We teach our students all of those things that they can now apply their knowledge to make greener synthetic processes, and also look into new opportunities in the hydrogen economy, and we prepare them for a just transition from coal, which is where we're one of the worst countries in the world where it comes to non-renewable sources. So for you as chemists in the future, it's an exciting future here with great challenges in making green hydrogen, and also having to help with the just transition away from coal. And I thank you for listening to me today, and hope you that enjoy looking through the website. Thank you.